Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
It is Friday, and we are live here in the Ultimate Cleveland studio, sports show studio. Mikey McNuggets, Jason Lloyd, G. Bush coming at you one day before the Browns kick off against the Packers. We're going to start with the Guardians today, guys, because what they've been doing is absolutely incredible. We got Ant and Steve behind the glass, and before we mess around for a few minutes, Ant, it is a very, very, very special day for someone near and dear to you.
Yeah, it is my wonderful girlfriend's birthday. She's 29 today, so I got one more year until I can start making fun of her for being 30.
Happy birthday, Bree.
Because I am a year younger, and she will know it next year.
Oh, she's a cougar.
She's 30.
Yeah. How long you and Bree have been together?
It'll be 3 years on November 11th.
If Bull was here, he would start badgering you to marry her.
Oh, no, I'll do it for him. It's a wrap. So basically anything, if you start a relationship over the age of 26 and you have now gone over a 2-year period and you are happily over 2 years, it's a wrap. You might as well go ahead and get that over with.
Leslie and I dated for like almost 4.
See?
It was almost 4 before we got married.
We've been long distance for the whole 3 now.
You guys got to live in the
She's
same
in Columbus,
city before you decide to.
Oh, I didn't know she didn't live here.
Oh, yeah, no, she still lives down in Columbus.
Oh,
She
you don't
comes
even know
up
if y'all
like
like each other yet.
No, that's not true.
Oh, yeah, no.
No, they're a very good couple.
Yeah.
We've hung out
have a
on
good time.
many occasions.
So-
Bree's awesome. Bree, happy birthday, by the way, 29. Don't turn 30. It's all
In the
downhill.
chat, we need you to put this in here. This is why we get y'all be uncomfortable. See, I got to be uncomfortable. You got to be uncomfortable. Put it in the chat. Who gets married first, McNuggets or Ant?
Oh.
Well, this is very easy because only one of us in a relationship. So,
That doesn't, well,
yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah. So we're going to just move on
I gotta
from that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
This got very strange.
We put
and in a hurry.
I put in the
G
group
does
chat.
not read the
you
text
don't read the group
messages,
chat
Mike.
whatsoever.
This is, sheesh. All right.
Well, he said if he's going to be uncomfortable, everybody else is.
Oh,
Yeah,
now we're all
there it is.
uncomfortable. And let's get a read and let's talk some Guardians.
Yeah,
How
guys,
you
let's
doing?
talk about some DoorDash. All of our single friends can DoorDash tonight. It's almost the weekend, guys. It's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered. Powered by DoorDash, just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered the most, so let's break it down. If you watched Josh Allen and the Bills last night, Josh Allen delivered in a big way. And when the pressure was on, they came through, no hesitation or delay. And if you've been watching week after week, that performance isn't a fluke. Josh Allen is on a streak. And just like Josh Allen delivered for the Bills, DoorDash delivers for your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You save every Saturday you order, stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday, keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms do apply. Promo period through 11/18.
All right, guys, I know it's a Browns Friday, but we are starting with the Cleveland Guardians, who have won 13 of their last 15 games. They just completed the sweep of the Detroit Tigers, cutting the AL Central lead from 6.5 down to 3.5. They beat Skubal yesterday in pretty dramatic fashion. Shout out to Big Christmas, Jason. If you're going to go against Skubal, you might as well put your 1 in 100 chance of hitting a home run in the lineup.
Boy.
And guess what he did? He hit the home run, the only run they scored off Skubal. Jose, 2 days after his birthday, hits the go-ahead 2-run home run. They end up winning the game 3-1. And just like that, Jason, we were so out on this team. Bull was ready to fire everybody in the front office. They had lost 10 in a row. And since that 10-game losing streak, they had the third best record in all of baseball. How do you explain it? And what do you make of this 13 out of 15, 1.5 out of the wild card, 3.5 out of the division? Where do the Guardians stand moving forward?
It's baseball, and it's a really long season. The question is this run sustainable? Man, if you count these guys out at this point, you're doing it at your own peril. So it wasn't that long ago the postseason did not look at all realistic. I think all of us said, no, this isn't happening this year. They didn't think they were making the playoffs. They traded Shane Bieber. They thought they were out. But when you pitch the way that they're pitching, it gives you a chance. And, their starters ERA is it's under 2 over this last stretch here. And Boston lost again yesterday. So now you're a game and a half out of the wild card. Detroit, I think the division is very much in play. Normally you wouldn't say this with a week to go, but the fact that you've got 3 at home with Detroit next week, Detroit is reeling right now. The Braves are playing well. Atlanta's going to Detroit this weekend. Anything's possible. Right there, Minnesota, the 4-game set with the Twins. Obviously, I don't think they have to win every game for the rest of the season to make the playoffs, but they still do have an incredibly thin margin for error. But when you get the starting pitching like they've gotten, and Tanner Bybee talked about it after the game last night, Bybee's been sensational. In September, he's had a terrible year, and he'll be the first to tell you he's had a terrible year. But his last 3 starts have been dominant. There you see Cantillo's numbers. There was a funny story. Zach Meisel had it today on The Athletic. It was great, talking about sort of where this came from. And Bybee in particular, Cantillo was struggling with his command, struggling to throw strikes. They sent him to AAA and said, attack the strike zone. Figure out how to attack the strike zone. And Joey's done that since he's back up. And you see the numbers right there over the last 15 games. Cantillo, 19 innings pitched, and an ERA under 1. And Bybee sort of asked him, what's the difference? And Cantillo said, he's throwing FU fastballs. And it's really, we talk about sports are such a mental game and the mentality of it. And Tanner sort of described, like, sometimes you throw a fastball and it's like, oh man, I don't want you to hit this. And we've talked about it on the show before about sometimes he starts to nibble and his pitch count goes up. And it's the mindset of, here it is, I dare you to hit it. And it sounds so simple, and it's like, no, it can't be that. No, it can be that. Just because of the way that these guys attack hitters and how aggressive Bybee's been and was again yesterday. The Tigers get the early run off them, and they have second and third. You're down 1-0 against Skubal. Tigers have second and third, nobody out. It looks like it's going to be a big inning. But the Guardians just made all the plays, and they don't run into outs. They make the plays in the field. They're clean defensively. They get dominant starting pitching, and that's how you turn a 15.5 game deficit to 3.5. It's a remarkable story. It's a great run. All the credit to them. It's been a really hard year for them, obviously, when you talk about losing Clase, losing Luis Ortiz. It feels like it's been like 4 seasons in one for these guys. And here we are with a week to go, and they're right there in it.
Man, hey, listen, ever since he crashed out in that dugout, Bybee looked like he was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and lean into this right now. Let's talk about the Detroit Tigers. Like, this is the headline in the Detroit Free Press. Detroit's latest loss to the Cleveland Guardians has them crashing to earth. Okay, this is officially getting scary is the first line, right? You lose this game 3-1. And like you said, they got the run early. And when you got a dude like Skubal on the mound, it's like, all right, you get them one, you starting to count your lives. Because now it's like, okay, if you get the 3 runs, it's almost lights out. Let's get up out of here. And as soon as I'm sitting there, I'm watching this, and I'm like, man, Tyvis was joking about Big Christmas, right? And Christmas in July and all that good stuff. And I'm like, bro, I'm going to have to hear this man's mouth. I'm going to have to hear this, because it's almost like you coach baseball. It's like putting the one kid in that, it's at the end of the game. He never really plays. You put him in, you be trying to hide him in the right field, try to hide him in the outfield so the ball don't come to him, and he's up against another kid, best pitcher. He's on a traveling squad. He closes his eyes, swings the ball back, and all of a sudden, guys just start cheering. He's like, what happened? Yeah, you hit the ball over the fence. That's wild work for him to hit that home run. But the crazy part about this is, I said yesterday, if they sweep the Tigers, I will officially pick them.
Yeah, you did.
To
make the playoffs.
And I got them. I got to stay to my word. And now Boston loses. A game and a half is light. A game and a half. Now you in the territory where now you got Detroit again. So if you're the Tigers coming up here in a couple weeks, this sweep is looming large in the back of your head. Yeah. You're like, oh, we can't beat these dudes right now. And when you get the most delusional people on the earth, are wide receivers and baseball teams that get hot. And the Guardians right now feel they're the hottest team in the game. And when you play in hot baseball, there's nothing that really can stop you in terms of feeling like every single game you go out there, you got an opportunity to win.
It is absolutely crazy what the Guardians do. For the season, now the offense in the last 15 games has been better, but for the season, this is the team with the lowest team batting average in baseball, the second lowest OPS. They've scored the fourth fewest runs in the entire major leagues. They are 1.5 game out of a wild card spot and 3.5 games out of the division. How have they won? Well, the offense has gotten a little better. They've gotten some really timely hits. But, Ann, if you pull up these numbers, yeah, exactly right here. Over the last 15 starts, the Guardians starters have a combined ERA of 1.53 with a better than 3-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. Look at the individual numbers from these guys. Steve, take the next graphic here. If you go down the line, Bibby's been an ace. 21 in the 2/3 innings pitched with a 1.25 ERA. Williams, 18 innings pitched, 1.5 ERA. Cantillo, sub-1 ERA in over 19 innings pitched. Sassoni and Messick, both lower than 1.5. Logan Allen, your worst of the 6 starters, and I don't know how much this 6-man rotation, Jason's played a role in these guys down the stretch, feeling more rested and recovered for each start, but he's been the worst of the 6, and his ERA is 3.6. That's right around league average, and maybe even slightly above if you go into the minutia of the exact decimal point. But the starting pitching has been incredible, and this is after the first, 140 games, Jason, where we had complaints about the inconsistency of the starters. Gavin Williams, great start, bad start. Great start, bad start. Great start, bad start. Tanner Bybee.
Bad start, bad start, bad start, bad start.
Until lately. And then, like you said, Cantillo got sent down to the minors. Sassoni was great, then not good, has been great again. Parker Messick has been a revolution since being called up. And we talk about this Guardians pitching factory time in, year in, year out, Jason. Carl Willis does an incredible job. If there's someone better in the business, you got to tell me who it is, because I'm frankly not sure that person exists. But what they have done with this rotation, with the unproven top-end talent, getting these young guys in Messick and Cantillo to step up and pitch like aces over the last 2.5 weeks, it is simply incredible. And they are overcoming an offense that, even with its added production of late, is still below league average in every statistic you're looking at. The pitching has been that good, guys. And I'm not sure it's 100% sustainable moving forward, Jason. They're pitching that well right now. I'm not sure a 1.53 ERA as a staff is sustainable for another 10 games and into the playoffs. But I don't know who's going to fall off. They all are pitching with extreme confidence right now, and that's almost as important as your stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to pitch to a sub-2 ERA for the rest of the season. I know that's only a week, but then into the postseason, if they make the postseason, I don't think that's fair to expect that out of them. But at the same time, I mean, enjoy it while it's here and ride it out while it lasts. And it's all the little things. And you mentioned Noel. That's the perfect guy to throw against Skubal, because it's going to be hard for you to string hits together. And they don't have very many threats who are going to hit the ball out of the park.
He runs into one.
And he did.
I saw a stat real quick on the home run. Skubal has faced over 3,000 batters in his major league career. Noel became the 3rd player to hit an 0-2 homer off Skubal in over 3,000 batters.
That's ridiculous.
Just a 3rd.
And it was a good pitch. It wasn't a bad pitch.
He just has stupid power.
At first, I thought it was a fastball. I'm like, why would anybody throw this guy a fastball? And it wasn't a fastball, but he located it well. Like, it was on the corner. He didn't catch the plate. And Noel just has big power. And, who knows what kind of player Noel's going to become. It doesn't matter in this moment.
Yeah.
This is who he is. There's a ton of power there, and there's a ton of swing and miss there. But you're not going to string together 3 hits against Tarik Skubal in an inning, more than likely, to where you're going to be able to scratch runs across. You have to be able to hit the ball out of the park against them to have success. And they ran into one, and then they get him out of the game. That's really, if you could just pitch to a draw and get Skubal out of the game, it's a tie, it's a win.
Yeah.
They the Guardians remind me something sort of like they're like the JV version of the Indiana Pacers in basketball. Like, you're like, dude, we lost to the Pacers. Like, if you lose to the Knicks, that means you lost to the Yankees. If you lose to the Red Sox, or you're like, okay, we lost to the Boston Celtics. But if you lose to the Guardians with their just the lack of overall sticks power and even able to put the ball in play where you can get runs, you're like, how do we have our best pitcher on the mound and we let this guy come up here and hit a home run? It just makes you feel like one of those things where it's almost like we live in Cleveland. We're like, come on, man. I mean, this only happens to us. No, the Guardians do that to people. And you think about it, 1.5 games is like, if you get it under 2, now you don't have to win every game. I don't feel like before we were sitting there saying, oh, they got to win every single game. They better win all of these. Well, look, now you're in a game and a half where if you're the Boston Red Sox, you better start winning. Like, you can't afford to have no slip-ups.
Pressure's on Boston, too, now. It's not just solely on Cleveland's shoulders.
Boston's collapsing. Teams. Boston was a shoo-in a few weeks ago to make the playoffs, and now there you see it. The Guardians are a game back in the loss column. So, yeah, a lot of these teams are feeling the pressure. And then, of course, Cleveland closes the season against Texas, who's behind them. A few days ago, that looked like it was going to be a big series. Mm-hmm. Now the Rangers are fading just a little bit, so it may not be as important in terms of head-to-head, but it very well could determine who makes the playoffs still, if Cleveland gets in or not. But, yeah, I mean, huge series, obviously, at Minnesota. 4-game set over the weekend. And
do they need to win 3?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Honestly, they probably need to sweep Minnesota, honestly, because I don't know that it's realistic to sweep the Tigers again, although we said that once. You are going to see Skubal again. If they do have a very thin margin for error, you don't want to blow it on the Twins when you've got the Tigers and the Rangers coming after them.
I see what you're saying. That's nasty work.
You have to get, at minimum, you got to get 3 in Minnesota, and realistically, it's so hard to say you got to sweep. It's so hard to sweep in baseball.
Yeah.
But this is the position that they're in. Like, you know, they sort of did this themselves because of the 10-game losing streak, and they didn't play well for long stretches this year. So this is where they're at. Minimum of 3 games in Minnesota over the weekend. You'd love to see a sweep. I don't know who Boston has this weekend. I didn't look to see.
I can tell you right now if you give me 1 second.
But they're feeling it.
This is play. If they sweep.
I mean, if you get a
Boston has the Rays.
Okay, well they should do well in that. Tampa's out of it, but you know if Detroit drops 1 or 2 at home against Atlanta, the division is very much in play.
Yeah,
and then you come back, you get Detroit at home, and you within a couple of games. Those are playoff games. Them immediately turn to playoffs.
Every game's a playoff
These
game
final
right
10 games
Yeah,
are
playoffs.
playoffs.
Yeah.
Whether the Guardians make the playoffs or not, and ESPN has been a 25.6% chance to make the playoffs. Which
I mean, it was.
It
What
was
was it?
with
it was
9?
when we did this last time. It was 11.6. They've jumped.
They
14
doubled it.
points up, more than doubled
Yeah.
it since the last time we checked on it. To me, this Minnesota series scares me because all season long the Guardians have cast us out.
Yeah.
Said, don't worry about us. They slowly reeled us back in, and as soon as they're about to hook us, the fish gets off the hook, and then we get reeled out again. So for whatever reason, I am cautiously, I don't want to say pessimistic. That's not the right word. The Guardians should win 3 or 4. Hopefully they sweep. But my gut tells me I've been hurt by this team already. I've already jumped on the bandwagon and been kicked off twice. I'm scared to get back on a 3rd time, but with the way they're pitching, Parker Messick's been incredible for a rookie, Jason. And
Yeah.
even as teams have gotten a little tape on him, his numbers haven't fallen off from that first great start against Arizona. And he's been a revolution. 24 strikeouts to 4 walks and 1.33 whip. He's been awesome.
Rookies still should terrify you, especially with his little experiences he has. Pablo Lopez is a really good pitcher. He's had a lot of injuries this year. The Twins are terrible. Like, they are bad. So you really need to take 3, if not 4 from them. But, yeah, I mean, Messick's been terrific. Hopefully he can keep it going. But rookies should scare you in general. And the bullpen's been great. You know, I thought Vogt's done a nice job of – these guys have put in a lot of innings, but he's been able to balance Gaddis and Cade at the back end, and he's gone to Herron at times where it's like, okay. And it always seems to work. Like yesterday, I was aggravated Manzardo was in the lineup. Now, Skubal is one of the few lefties that, okay, you could sit Kyle, but you started Nolan Jones in right field. You could put Noel in right, and you could put Manzardo at first, but it doesn't matter. And Rocchio, watching Rocchio hit a fly ball down the right field line, it looked like he's jogging into 3rd. If he's busting out of the box and if he's running full speed, it might be an inside the park home run. And because of the situation, you think, well, just send him anyway. And they didn't send him, and Hedges is coming up, and you're like,
Hedgie.
But then Hedges draws a walk, and it doesn't matter. Like, they just figure it out. No matter what you like, man, I can't believe that happened, or I can't believe they did that. They find a way to overcome
quick,
it.
I think Vogt gets a lot of credit for that.
I was just going to say that.
And we've had our qualms with Vogt this year. A lot of the platooning has annoyed a lot of people on this panel, including myself. Some of the bullpen usage. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's all about, does your team play hard as can be, and does it work, right? The results more than anything else. And right now, all the buttons he's pushing are working. The Guardians should have been out of this a long time ago. To your point earlier, Jason, they traded Shane Bieber at the deadline. They told you what they thought.
Yeah.
Second year in a row, by the way, a team's traded at the deadline, traded away a star pitcher.
Yeah.
Jack Flaherty with the Tigers last year, they catch fire. The Guardians traded Shane Bieber. They catch fire. But, man, he deserves a ton of credit, and we've done a bad job as a show. And as the producer, I'll take a hand up, and my bad on this one, of not giving him his due credit because although he's not perfect, no manager is, the fact that this team, despite losing Clase and Ortiz and the 10-game losing streak and trading away their ace at the deadline, they are right in the thick of this with 10 games to play. And I don't think any of us expected that to be the outcome in the middle of July. So,
I mean, this team
vote, my bad.
This team was a heartbeat from trading Stephen Kwan
Yeah.
at the deadline. And I think the biggest credit for vote is holding this thing together through Clase and Ortiz. Like those were major catastrophes within the organization. And frankly, they probably would have, I know they would have traded Clase. Like they were selling. And Clase would have been dealt had that not come down literally days before the trade deadline. And to navigate those storms and to keep these guys together, these are not normal injuries. Like this is not a pitcher blowing out his elbow, which happens all the time. You treat it like an injury in terms of, okay, he's here today, now we don't have that guy tomorrow, and we're not going to have him.
Mentally, it's not.
Mentally, it's different.
No.
This is totally different. And these are things that not only have the Guardians not experienced, there aren't many organizations in sports that have navigated this gambling accusations quite like this. There have been a few here and there. Not like this. I mean, you had pitchers in the clubhouse who were basically accused of throwing games, in a sense, of throwing bad pitches on purpose. And it gets to the fabric of the game at that point, and to be able to keep these guys together and ride out losing streaks and just keep the boat above the water, it's a huge credit to him.
And it's
Coaches are different, right?
Yeah.
Different responsibilities for different sports.
Yeah, I was just go. Yeah, it's like kind of like I respect it because they could have took. I mean, the game is different. Like in football and basketball, if you lose, you get the first pick. In baseball, it's necessarily not. Like I don't believe you lose the most games, you get the first pick.
No, it used to be not.
Baseball's gone to a bit of a lottery now, like the NBA.
So it's kind of like, those are different sports, and it's a more of a finite amount of games or smaller sample size of games. But when you talk about baseball, it's crazy that he got them. It's almost like they got in trouble, and he was like, you know what, screw it, we ain't got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Right. And then they had the losing streak after that. So you mean to tell me like that was a flat line, right? Like you got all the embarrassment. Mind you, the Guardians believe themselves to be above a lot of the fray. You don't see scandals with the Guardians, right? For it to happen not once, but then the allegations of it happening twice. Then you couple that the fact with, they're struggling at the plate, they're struggling, they might be sellers at the deadline. But then to get guys to come back from that, lose 10 games, lose 11 games, look like they're out of it, to have them guys come back, that says a lot about his willingness to not concede anything. Like, this would have been the most easy thing in the world to say, it just wasn't our year. We do that a lot. Hey, look, just happened. It's just not our year. But guess what? He got him to pull back. He got him, and now you get them down the runway. And now when you go from all of the stuff that they had going on to now you winning all these games, now the confidence shot is even greater because you came from such a far depths to get where they need to go.
Now, they still are 3.5 games back, and this is important to point out when I give you this number. But the largest ever division lead, I looked this up yesterday, winner of a division from where they started at, was 12.5 games. The Guardians were 15.5.
That's crazy.
Let me just confirm that.
They was we was laughing when it happened. It was like
15.5.
20. We was like, oh, this is a 20 spot. You don't come back from a 20-piece nugget.
It was 14 games. It was the 1978 Yankees. 12.5 was second.
Okay.
Which was the Mariners in '95. So 14 games was the largest division deficit to come back and win the division. The Guardians were 15.5 games back. Now they're 3.5 games back. And I saw this stat from a Cleveland Guardians perspective on Twitter. Through their first 2 seasons, and granted, Vogt still has 10 games to go, so it's not final. Francona had a .546 win percentage, no playoff wins, and a second and third place finish in the AL Central. Vogt, as of right now, has a .553 win percentage, slightly better than Francona. A first place finish in the AL Central. They're currently second, and he's won 4 postseason games. I'm not saying he's going to beat Terry Francona, but this is Vogt's first stint as a manager. Francona obviously had previous experience elsewhere before coming to Cleveland, and he's putting up incredibly similar production from a win-loss standpoint than one of the best managers baseball's ever seen. So it's been a hell of a start for Vogt. Probably deserves more credit than we've given them, and what the Guardians are doing right now is simply incredible. Any last thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of almost like, it sobers you up and it tells you, like, hey, man, you look at the Guardians and then you watch, the Cavs and we watch the Browns, right? And, we always comparing them. And it just goes to show you that the other two teams, even for what their downfalls is or their shortcomings, they produce at a level that's not even close to the Browns. They produce and do things that the Browns have never, like the Browns ain't never showed this type of resilience. The level of what they're doing right now, coming back from down that much, they didn't put on those seasons. Like the Cavs, yeah, they may be a little bit, the Cavs are to go out in the rounds that we thought they should have went and advanced a little further in the playoffs. But when you take a look at them across the board, there is a little something to be said about why the Guardians get a little upset if they're not playing well at the time, because they feel like they have not built up any good grace, any currency with the fans and the media, because as soon as they done or they not doing what they don't want us to do, it's immediately, they finished, is wiped out. But we stay loyal to these Browns like it's nothing, and they produce. I can't lie, man. I mean, this is a very impressive feat that they're doing, especially given the fact that they had all this adversity. Because the Browns would have folded up like a tent if you got two people talking about gambling. They would have folded that up. That's game 3. They'd be talking about 2028.
Crazy. All right, Ant, let's get to our next topic here, and just remember the Guardians are awesome. Tune in. They got a 4-game set with Minnesota this
They're on the
weekend.
night, NBC, or KYC.
Yeah, final game on KYC tonight, so make sure you guys tap into that.
I definitely forgot to make a graphic for that to promo it, but guys,
There you go.
the next segment is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel is making sure that you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love FanDuel because it makes it really quick and easy to bet the best ways and add a little bit more energy to my Sundays while my fantasy team is just getting absolutely destroyed. So I got one question for you guys. Are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app and now by visiting FanDuel.com/UCSS to get started. That's FanDuel.com/UCSS to place your first $5 bet.
All right, Jason, you weren't here yesterday when we talked in depth about the Browns' offensive line struggle, so I want to start with you on this one. When you look at this matchup against Green Bay, we know the offensive line has not played up to par yet, but the fact that Flacco's a statue back there does not help either. It's a little yin and a little yang. They both are playing into the issues with the offense not being able to connect on any deep passes. So when you look at this individual matchup, is the fact that Flacco is essentially a statue in the pocket, probably the least mobile quarterback in football right now, is that your biggest concern about this Browns offense going against this Green Bay defense?
Yeah, probably. And I mean, listen, he wasn't very mobile when he was here before either. It was just, it felt more noticeable to me last week because just the way the Ravens were playing him, and they would show blitz, they would bring 6 to the line, and then they would drop 2. And it just felt at times like Cleveland's offensive line wasn't entirely sure who was coming and who was dropping. The tackles were awful. The problem with the Browns right now is the tackles. And in the middle with Joel and with Posick and with Teller, are these guys where they were 5 years ago? No, probably not. But they're still they're good enough. They're good enough. That's not the issue. The issue is on the edges. And of course, with Micah Parsons coming to town now, yeah, that's going to be a real concern.
And Rashawn Gary's no slouch on the other end either.
For sure. So, I mean, DeWand is the biggest thing, and we can talk about more of him. I don't want to keep hammering DeWand, but this is honestly beyond quarterback. I was actually thinking about this morning. I don't think it's hyperbole to say the next biggest decision is DeWand, because you see it. You have an answer you think at running back with Judkins. the defense, you see it. You see what you've got coming. This offensive line going forward beyond this year is in such disarray because of the contract situation. There's no guaranteed dollars on any of these guys. It is such a huge relief if you could look at DeJuan Jones and say, that's our guy for the next 10 years. But he hasn't shown that yet.
Yeah.
So this is I don't want to say it's a crisis moment in Game 3. I'm not giving up on him yet. He's got to be significantly better than what he's been the first 2 games. I told you guys on Monday, Kevin was covering for DeJuan. This wasn't a heat issue. He was terrible.
Zach said the same thing yesterday, by the way.
Yeah, we talked about it on Monday. I haven't been in since Monday. I don't know I haven't seen every show, what was said and what wasn't said. I told you guys then, Kevin was covering for him. And I think DeJuan more or less said that. Like, I was fine.
Yeah.
His run game, he has to know his assignments. And he just doesn't at times. But all of the physical traits are there. If you're trying to design like a prototypical franchise left tackle, isn't that it? If he keeps his weight under control and like he can stay in shape and conditioning, that's it. So it's not physical at all with him. He just has to stay on point and know his assignments. But, I think that's part of the reason. I don't think these are explosive receivers, but I also think part of the reason that, 20 of 28 completions last week were to the backs and the tight ends was because they're trying to get the ball out quick because of what you talked about, because of Joe's lack of mobility. Hopefully at some point there's going to be some explosive plays within this offense, you would think. I don't expect every week to look as bad as last week did with Baltimore and Flacco, but the fact is they don't have the luxury of on 2nd and 12, if everybody's covered, just get 4. For the quarterback to just step up, if he could just run and get you 4 and put you at 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, rather than 3rd and 12 or 3rd and 15 because he took a sack, that makes such a big difference, and they just don't have that luxury right now. This is trying to play in the NFL today with a quarterback that can't move really hamstrings teams, and that's just the reality where the Browns are at right now.
Gee, I know you and I were on the panel yesterday, so we kind of gave our thoughts, but when you look at this specific Packers defense and their defensive scheme, is the fact that Flacco can't move what concerns you most in that offense versus defense matchup?
No. Because it's more than just that. That it's just like, it's a compounding type situation. When you talk about Joe Flacco and his ability to not be able to move, that does it highlights some of the deficiencies that you have. So say, for instance, plays where you may expect to step up or buy a little more time to get a guy a couple more extra seconds to throw a ball deep, you don't have that. So now that compounds situations where now it's like Jerry Jeudy, and I talked to Dustin the other day. I mean, Jerry Jeudy is a good receiver, but Jerry Jeudy is not Tyreek Hill in his prime or some of those other guys. He's not A.J. Brown, a big physical guy that could just kind of bully you at the top of your route. So he's like, there's a lot of things. He's a route runner. So it's not like, they're going to be just threatened. So I'm playing close too. So you may need a couple extra seconds for Jeudy to get some separation, right? And then you talk about the run game. The lack of the run game makes everything more constricted. So now they're not worried about your play action game. We said before, hey, Stefanski wants to run play action, but you actually have to run the ball in order to somebody respect that type of game. So these are all things that we got that's going into it. The Flacco not being able to run, that's part of it. That's why it's paramount to me that Kevin has to get all the way in his creative bag. He got to get all the way in his college football bag in terms of figuring out is there some way we can manufacture some yards, right? Can we manufacture some cheap stuff? Like, like stuff where I'm going to be responsible for giving you something that I just out-scheme the defense, and that's a great look, so we can get some yards here or there. But so I think that's the way you have to go when you don't have a quarterback that is very mobile and can extend plays naturally. And then hopefully after you do those things, it slows the defense down to a point where they have to actually think about their assignments and where the Browns – right now, they're lining up. And, I mean, you go watch the Ravens secondary or Roquan Smith. They are walking to where they need to be at because there's nothing They already know it. They know the plays. They know what's coming. And if you got teams that is already more skilled than you, more physically gifted than you, and they got more guys than you in terms of playmakers, you're not going to win them games.
Yeah, you look at how Baltimore played defense against the Browns. Look at how Cincinnati played defense against the Browns. How I expect Green Bay to play defense tomorrow or Sunday. They're playing 2 high safeties and saying, just please run the ball. We don't believe you can run the ball on us downfield consistently. So we're going to keep you in 2nd and 8s, 3rd and longs, and force you to beat us with the throw. When you look at this matchup, though, listen, we've talked about it yesterday. I'm not going to harp on the whole thing again. Flacco can't move. He wasn't very mobile in 2011 when he was winning Super Bowls with the Ravens. He's even less mobile at 40 now when you have 2 pass rushers in Parsons and Rashawn Gary, who know exactly where the quarterback's going to be on almost every drop back. It just makes their job easier against guys like DeJuan Jones. And I don't know if Jack Conklin's going to play. Jason, I'm not sure if we have an update on that elbow injury, but,
The last I had heard, it didn't sound like he was close, but that was a few days ago, so I don't know if something's
Mind you,
changed or not.
Batonio has a practice all week. Am I correct?
Yeah, he said he was fine. He just wasn't going to
He
practice.
misses a lot of practice during the season. I would expect Joel to play. But yeah, he has missed the last couple of days with the back. He's had a back for years that kind of flares up.
That's called old.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
The one
dude in his last year of his career.
The one thing I know, I was watching Thursday Night Football last night, and Josh Allen's obviously a freak athlete, so they do a little bit with him in Buffalo, but more of how Mike McDaniel uses Tua, who's not the most mobile quarterback, and they try to avoid him getting hit at all costs.
Sure.
Like, we know his concussion
with his history, yeah.
They avoid him getting hit at all costs. They move the pocket in subtle ways because their offensive line isn't good. And once again, this is no disrespect to Joe Flacco. I don't think he's fast enough to move the pocket with G. By the time he got to his new target spot, the entire route's been run, and now they're in scramble drill. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think he has the mobility to actually utilize some of those other options available to a coach to generate more time, because I don't think Flacco gets there quick enough unless you're running a 40-yard combo route. And I don't know if we have the receivers to get the separation you need on those deep routes.
It's, I liked, if you go back a little bit, I don't know if they've changed philosophies in it, but a lot of it that I like is when you're talking about running boots and stretch type schemes, the thing that me as a defensive lineman that I always didn't like about those schemes that were difficult for me to cover was the fact that I'm responsible for a gap. So if they're running stretch this way, my gap is actually condensing. So I have to be able to condense with it, because if I don't condense enough and they hand it to the running back, there's a cutback lane.
Yeah,
the B and the C gap is widening, and that there's a gap right there. So I have to crash down. So it makes it essentially on that bootleg, it takes one of your defensive ends out of the play because they have to honor that, right? And so they did that a lot with Baker Mayfield. Yep. They did a ton of it because, they had guys that could really run the zone. And when you're running zone, you're just taking your the zone stretch steps, and then it's easy to figure out who you got. If the guy flashes front side, you got him. And if he wants to run that way, take him and run him that way. Yeah. So now you got a cutback lane. So though I like that scheme better, right now they're running a lot of duo play action where it's just the play action and Flacco still, show run action, he's still in the pocket. But that's not, the defensive ends, they don't have to respect that because their gap isn't moving. I'm going to stay here and be in my gap. So I think that they need to get more east and western and some things too. And by the way, I just hate runs out of shotgun. I don't hate them, but it's not dramatic enough. It don't affect me.
The play action, you mean?
The play action ain't as devastating when it's here, and then I'll pull it. It's crazy because now I got to really, really respect that under play action under
do you know
shotgun.
When shotgun play action works, though? When you have a Lamar Jackson or a Josh Allen or
Yeah.
a mobile quarterback,
Yes.
that the read option is now
A
an
part of
available
that.
option in the play action.
RPO game is part of it, right? All
right.
that's up for play. But for us, that's not even an option for us.
Your explanation of that was perfect because you mentioned Baker. When Kevin was really installing this offense, Baker's numbers on boots were terrific. And everything went to crap with Deshaun. It just didn't work. But so if you got to go all the way back to Baker, that's how it's supposed to look. And they can't get there with Joe. And that takes out a big portion of this offense when you can't move the pocket, when you can't roll the quarterback. So eventually they are going to get to Dylan, and eventually that's going to come back. For two reasons. One, Kevin's comfortable calling it. That's the way the offense is supposed to look. And two, you have to move the pocket because of Dylan's size.
Right.
So it's funny how, like, we talked about it last year. It just felt like they had two identities last year because you had Ken Dorsey trying to call one game.
Verts.
Yeah, and with receivers who, you're right, I mean, all the data was there. They were slow receivers who don't create separation, and they're trying to just run vertical routes. It didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And then they'd come back the next week, and it almost looked like the offense of 2 years prior. So they just had this identity crisis. I don't know that it's to that extent, but you will see when Dylan and if we get to Shedeur, you will see an offense that looks different than what they have to run with Joe right now just because of Joe's lack of mobility.
And that goes back to why it's my biggest concern is I just think they're playing with, I don't know, I'm making an arbitrary number, but like 62% of their playbook. Because there are certain things that they just simply cannot run due to Joe's lack of mobility.
It's a I call it the land of misfit toys. Like, you know, you got one He-Man, one G.I. Joe, one Transformer, one Thundercat. It's like you ain't got the whole set of the toys. You just got you got piece here, piece here, piece there. And back then, everything was complementary because you had three running backs that all did different things. That you had a battering ram and Kareem Hunt that was really great out of the backfield. Dearness Johnson was a stretch guy, cutback guy. Nick Chubb was Nick Chubb. You know what he was going to be able to give you. The screen game was at the ultimate high, right?
Yeah.
Now you're inviting guys into the backfield. The screen game, he would have it from different angles, and you still had a guy like Jarvis Landry who was smaller, but was a tremendous blocker, he catch the football underneath. And you still, and for whatever it is worth, you still had guys that would respect Odell Beckham Jr. because they was like, yo, he could run past us. And David and Joe. So they had the pieces and parts to kind of do that kind of stuff, to be multiple. Now, it's not the same parts. You got a nice running back. We'll see how that works. But the receiving core, no.
Yeah. All right, let's go from one passing attack to the other. But first, you got to read for us.
Yeah, guys, this is Mazda's Moving the Game Forward, brought to you by those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. Because these moments do more than win. They push what's possible. They remind us to go the extra yard, shift into that extra gear, and keep the game moving forward. And it asked me to talk about a highlight here, and I still think back to Messi's performance in the World Cup. And that is what keeps the fans and players moving forward. And a performance like that is always chasing the next great moment. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. Just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to every Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved.
So we talked about the Browns passing attack going up against Green Bay's defense. Let's flip the script here. How about when Jordan Love and the Packers have the ball going up against Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit, Greg Newsome, and the Browns secondary? The Browns, through 2 games, have held Joe Burrow to sub 200 yards. They held Lamar Jackson. I know he threw 4 touchdowns, but well below his typical numbers, and they were granted a lot of points with short fields. He did throw. Listen, fact's a fact.
The offense put him in those.
Yeah. But the Browns did a pretty good job defensively limiting what the Ravens wanted to do from a passing standpoint. Gee, when you look at this matchup for Sunday, Green Bay and their, I don't want to say misfit cast of receivers, but it's certainly not a who's who. They got a bunch of guys that don't have a bunch of dudes against Denzel, Greg, Grant, and the Browns secondary. Does Jordan Love have the weaponry needed to carve up this Browns secondary, or does the Browns secondary have the advantage in this head-to-head matchup against the Green Bay passing attack?
I mean, I'm gonna give the Browns the advantage on this one, and it's almost kind of not close. When you have Denzel Ward and you have, and I've been saying, to me, one of the most impressive guys this year has been Greg Newsome. I think he's played really good the first 2 games. You take a look at, he looks like he's more comfortable out there. He looks like he's embracing that position more. Always remember, Greg Newsome was not enthused about being a nickel guy. He always felt to himself that that's where he played his entire life. He's comfortable out there. And now he doesn't have to look over his shoulder because he knows that they're counting on him to do some things, right? Because Martin Emerson is hurt. So when you have that and you have, Denzel Ward against some of these receivers that they have, I mean, they're not bad. I mean, by any stretch of the imagination, I think they got, all of them make up a pretty solid receiving core, but there's no Jamar Chases. There's no T. Higgins. I don't think any of these guys are Zay Flowers. So, but here's the thing why I give them a big advantage in this one is because Myles Garrett is always the flavor enhancer. Like, he's always the garlic butter at the end of a steak. Like, he gonna accentuate, he gonna make it easier for you, right? And then not only that, the defensive line is
playing well.
They're playing really well. They do some really, especially with Schlesinger and Graham, they do some things in the middle. Malik Collins is underrated. You look at some of the things he's been able to do. McGuire, a rotation with him and Wright. They do some nice things to stop the run. Like, I'm not worried about the run, and they like Josh Jacobs. I think this, if the offense does not put them in a position or special teams where you give up a turnover and they keep the ball in your own territory a bunch of times, I don't have no problem with the defense. The defense is not the problem. It's the fact that the offense and the special teams is not keeping complimentary football to keep them clean and off the field.
The thing that concerns me is Green Bay's leading receiver is Tucker Kraft, and the Browns haven't covered a tight end since they won the division in 1989.
Yes.
Tight ends is always open on the Browns.
Always open.
At all times.
Tight ends are 7-Elevens.
Yeah, always open.
So that's a real concern is when you have tight ends who are weapons, how many times has Mark Andrews or any of the Steelers tight ends just killed this team? So, and the slot situation, and credit to Tyvis for calling it out early. Tyvis said Cam Mitchell. Well, Cam's been a problem the last couple weeks. And the offense put the defense in terrible positions last week at Baltimore. You laugh, well, you did throw 4 touchdowns. Well, that's because the Browns put him on a short field. And, Lamar made a couple plays that's just Lamar. And Jordan Love doesn't have that type of athleticism where he's going to turn his back, spin out of the pocket, roll, throw 50 yards on a dime. I don't know he's going to have quite that type of elite play, but obviously Jordan Love's an excellent quarterback. So I worry about the slot and I worry about the tight end. I'm with you on Greg's been great for 2 games.
He's been awesome, yeah.
We were all a little bit concerned about what would Greg be like going back to the outside. Denzel and Greg, if they're healthy, the concern level there is down. Matthew Golden will be a slot receiver for the Packers, I think. Mm-hmm. And he's only got a couple of targets this year, but that's the guy that I look at and go, okay, who's going to win the slot matchup, and how are they going to cover Tucker?
Yeah.
So a couple things on Jordan Love, which I think are worth pointing out. He's not in the same tier as Lamar and Josh Allen. He's not in that tier.
No.
But he's in that next tier.
But I like him.
He's very
Couple
good.
stats for you, G. Ready? We talk about Jordan Love being a little turnover prone, right? That was the knock on him, take some risks. He hasn't thrown an interception since week 11 of last year. Hasn't thrown a regular season. Now, he threw it in the playoffs. But in the last 7 weeks of the regular season, first weeks of this season, has not thrown a pick. This season, G, he's averaging 13.3 air yards per attempt. You want to know what number 2 in the league is? It's under 10. Almost 3.5 more air yards per attempt than any other quarterback in football through 2 weeks, which means he's going to put a lot of pressure on Denzel, Newsome, and whoever else is playing in that secondary, forcing the ball downfield. We've talked about the Browns' offense being in this 10, 15-yard box. The Packers are the opposite. They are taking shots. And you mentioned Matthew Golden only having a couple targets. He's 1 slight overthrow and 1 slight underthrow from having like 200 yards last week.
Yeah.
He was open, and Love missed him by just that much, and he was their first-round pick, still developing chemistry. I think the advantage is clearly in the Browns' favor. Denzel Ward is better than any of the individual weapons that Green Bay has, and I think you can make the case that Greg Newsome is playing as well, if not better, than any of their outside threats. Tucker Kraft, their tight end, has been incredible through 2 weeks, but that's a Schlesinger and a Devin Bush problem, not an outside problem. I still give the advantage to the Browns secondary, but I'm not sleeping on the fact that this Green Bay passing attack can be pretty darn efficient and effective against almost any secondary in football. If Jordan Love has the running game going and they can use some play action shots to push the ball deep downfield, I'm worried about the Matthew Goldens and the Dobbs and the Christian Watson in those mismatched alignments going up against the Hardens and the Cam Mitchells of the world.
Yeah.
Because we just saw Baltimore last week, G. Tyvis did that great breakdown on Tuesday, using motion to create mismatches. Nobody uses more motion, and no one uses more weird, funky alignments based off their formation, based off their shifts. And we're going to talk about this in the WKYC show coming up. Then Matt LaFleur, if he sees what Baltimore did on tape, you know he's had a few extra days to concoct some options and some plays to try and isolate the Harden and the Mitchells against their best receiver on some deep routes. So that's a little bit of my worry, but I still give the Browns the advantage.
I even take the fact that they're going to isolate them safeties too. They're going the weak, because here's the thing. I think even guys that linebacking core like Devin Bush has been playing really well.
He has been.
He's been playing really well. Like right now, it's not looking like there's really very many weak links. If it's me, I'm isolating the slot receiver. I want to make them think. I'm going to use motion. You take a look at what Tyvis talked about. All of that touchdown simply came from them motioning a guy across the line of scrimmage, getting him lined up quickly, snapping the football, and making him think, okay, what's my assignment after motion happens? And so I think that you're going to see, and LaFleur uses a ton of variation in the run game and the pass game. Like, he's going to make you think. And the Browns have not been doing a good job of communicating pass-offs, whether we're in cover 3, cover 2, what are we doing? And they're going to go after him. So that's going to be, to me, the matchup to really watch to see if the Browns can have a day. Because they're going to have a game, to me, not to this level, because I think there's different pieces that are better, but I think they're going to have a 49ers-type performance, where the 49ers a couple of years ago in 2023, where the Browns defensively just won that football game for them.
I can't give the Browns an advantage anywhere in this game. I mean, let's be realistic. The Packers are a Super Bowl contender. Are they the favorite? Maybe not the favorite, but they're a contender.
Yeah.
Could we all agree on that?
Oh, of course, yeah.
The Browns are not a contender for anything except a top 5 pick in this draft. So as much as I like what we've seen out of this defense, and I do, like, I'm really high on this defensive line. We talked about that after the Cincinnati game. I'm like, yeah, they lost the game, but there's a lot to like coming off this. When Malik Collins was terrific last week against Baltimore.
Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
And I think Mason Graham has showed himself well through 2 weeks. Obviously, we know what Miles can do. I thought Isaiah McGuire, I've seen it more out of McGuire. Like, PFF told us he was good last year.
The eye test is confirmed.
I've seen it, right?
You're starting to flash a little more. Because we was like, hold on. This might be fool's gold. The Isaiah McGuire playing like one of the best top 20 defensive ends is kind of wild.
PFF might be dead, but they had at least one heartbeat left.
Yeah.
And that heartbeat was maybe that Isaiah McGuire's.
He's flashing a lot more. And the rotation works.
So I really like this defensive line. Really, really like it. Obviously high on Schlesinger at corner, or at linebacker. Devin Bush made some plays, or you noticed him at least. So there are reasons to be optimistic about this Browns defense. But against a team, even though you're at home, going against a team that has a top quarterback in Jordan Love, I can't give the Browns an advantage at anywhere.
They're 8.5-point favorites on the road for a reason. Yeah. So, like, we're looking for minor advantages here, Jason. But you're right. At the end of the day, Green Bay is an 8.5-point road favorite.
Well, I will say this though. I think Myles Garrett is a major event. If Myles Garrett
and Denzel's better than any of their individuals.
I've never said this before, but about a lot of defensive ends. Like Micah Parsons is good, but it's starting to be a difference between Micah Parsons, Max Crosby, T.J. Watt, and what Myles Garrett is doing, because those guys are playing with better players. They're playing with other people, different things. And by the way, their offenses are a lot better, which helps you out a little bit. But Myles Garrett, by him just being 95, gives you a shot. And that's not it's super difficult to say that about a defensive player.
I said it yesterday, I said it again, no player in football has been better through the first 2 weeks than 95.
He can keep a game. If you can keep a game close, he can win you a game.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I just don't know if there's enough around them to keep them in the game to put him in position to win it for them.
Right.
Fair enough.
Right.
All right, Ant, let's get to the 5 stats you need to know. But first, a quick read.
Yeah, guys, I just want to remind everybody that we have social medias across all of them on X, Instagram, TikTok. Luke Becker does a great job of cutting clips. Mike and Earl do a good job putting up socials on X. Go follow us on all of that for extra content outside of 11 to 1 every single day.
All right, we got 5 stats that you need to know for this week's game against the Green Bay Packers, and I got my stats here. So, Steve, when you're ready, let's start with stat number 1. I wanted to find a positive stat to highlight for the Browns because the rest aren't great. I'm just going to put it out there like that. Not great. But on the positive, the rookies have been really, really good for the Browns so far this season. We mentioned this earlier in the week, but Quinshon Judkins had 61 rush yards against the Baltimore Ravens in Week 2. Of those 61, 57 came after contact, Jason, which is just an incredible percentage. A lot of that came on the 31-yard run, and it's also a negative offensive line stat that he was hit so often before the line of scrimmage, but 57 of his 61 rush yards came after contact against the Ravens. That is a very promising sign moving forward for the Browns' second-round pick. And we got to give some love to Harold Fannin. He has 12 receptions. That is second all-time for a rookie tight end in their first 2 games. He played 40-something snaps, 44 or 43 snaps against the Ravens. They used him in a bunch of different alignments, including 17 at tight end, 21 in the slot, and 2 out wide, and 1 in the backfield. He has 111 total yards. That's the 3rd most among all rookies. And he is the 2nd most, I mentioned this earlier, but the 2nd most catches ever by a rookie tight end in his first 2 games. So I just wanted to give a little spotlight to those 2 rookies who have put up some pretty incredible numbers through the early part of their NFL careers. That's the good guys. Any questions?
Well, it was funny because this was a painful week for Browns fans when Baker and Nick are playing, and I saw all of it where everyone's so angry with Baker's success and Nick and Houston and the way that they hugged afterwards. Guys, Quinshon Judkins is going to be really good.
Yeah.
And it hurts in the moment. And had it worked with Deshaun, I actually think Nick would probably still be here. But when they sort of went to the hard reset, they went to the reset in the backfield as well. And, it would appear it's now Friday. We still haven't heard anything from the NFL. I would assume he's not going to be suspended. He met with them. He's already played 1 game. They're preparing for him to play. I would assume that all of that is behind him at this point. He's going to be a really good running back for the Browns. I feel really, really good about that. And you saw a glimpse of it. I mean, he had 1 padded practice, 2 days on the field last week, and he had 60 yards. And granted, one of them was a garbage time run, but still, he runs hard. He's powerful. You're familiar with him. You saw him at Ohio State. You had the number right there in terms of yards after contact. That's going to continue.
Yeah.
That was a feature. That's what we always say. I'm not saying he's Nick Chubb. Don't get me wrong. But one of the great things about Nick is Nick would make a 2-yard run, a 4-yard run, a 3-yard run, an 8-yard run. I believe Quinshon has the ability to do that as well.
Man, you know what? You just sparked my interest. I wasn't going to say nothing, but I like what you just said right there. Listen, the reason I believe Quinshon Judkins and what's his name, Bond, they ain't getting suspended. See, the syndicate had already spoke. See, your boy, Jimmy Haslam, they told him, listen, I need you to go ahead and pay this off. You need to pay this off. You gave him that contract. You need to come out and apologize for giving that contract. And he is not to see the field this year. If that goes all nice and well, we let you off the hook, man. You good. You now back in the club, but you got to pay something. It's going to be some payment for that. So then, you got Judkins, you got Bond. They're like, oh, no, listen, don't worry. They're for rookies. Go ahead and let them get their money off. No suspension, nothing. You've already paid your get-out-of-jail-free card and your debt to society, and now you've made up with the syndicate. Now, that's my conspiracy theory of the week. Sponsored by Carmen Sandiego. Where in the world?
You think they let Quinshon and Isaiah off because of Deshaun?
He had to come back. Now Florio done talked about it. When they have a meeting and they say, hey, nobody's getting guaranteed deals, and you done gave this man a guaranteed deal, unacceptable, and Lamar Jackson ain't getting no guaranteed deal, and we suspended you 11 games. They had to make the example. The example was made, and how many times you see an owner come out prematurely and say, that was a mistake. We should have done that.
Well, it was a mistake because he's been terrible.
That's that too. But it's a mistake because
it wrecked the franchise and it put him in this position.
And so what? That's what he told him. He's like,
he also has been patient, G. This has been 3 years of the Deshaun Watson experiment.
No. I'm not saying he was good. I'm just saying the league. It's strange that there's no suspension. There's nothing. Not saying that there should have been.
Well, I think each case has to be weighed on the merits of the case.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. I don't think Deshaun had anything to do with the Quinshawn situation. Although I did think Judkins at one time, I thought he was going to be suspended.
See, I will accept any and all conspiracy theories you want to bring on the show, whether I agree with them or not. We can argue. I don't necessarily agree with this one, but I'm all for conspiracy G. All right, and let's get to stat number 2 you need to know. This is where it starts getting sad, guys. The Browns in turnovers, it's just not their thing. They have lost the turnover battle in 9 straight games. Their last forced turnover, G, was Week 16 last year.
Goodness gracious.
In the last 37 games, they have 77 turnovers. That's the most in football. They are 14 and 23 during that span. And in that 37 game span where the Browns have turned the ball over 77 times, Green Bay has forced 50 takeaways, which ranks in the top 5 in the NFL. So turnovers, just not Kevin Stefanski and his team's thing. This year, by the way, I know it's only 2 games, 4 turnovers, 0 forced turnovers. That -4 turnover differential ranked tied for 31st in the league before last night's game. I'm not sure if Miami or Buffalo surpassed them, but it was tied for 2nd worst in football through 2 weeks. You're not going to win a lot of football games losing the turnover battle that bad.
Especially when don't have a very talented offense to begin with. Some teams can overcome turnovers. This team cannot.
Man, you can't ask for no. That's the thing about turnovers, man. Like, you can't just plan on you getting no turnovers, except if you're playing the Cleveland Browns. They're going to give you 2 or 3 of them. And when you look at it, and this is the reason why they're so hamstrung and it's so difficult to win these football games. And a lot of people used to be like, man, G. Bush, why you be jumping up and down? You Duke a knee jerk, bro. It's not that serious. I'm like, listen, in the minutia, in the scheme of things, one move here or not getting this person is not going to tank your season. But when you have a cumulative effect, my kicker can't make field goals consistently. My receivers don't get separation. When they do, they drop the ball. Our offensive line is getting older, and our tackles is out here like turnstiles. We can't run the football. And on top of it, we got quarterbacks that give the ball away.
It's a bad record.
That right there, if you stack them, that's a bad look, bro. That's a recipe. And I don't want to get in my bag like this. But you only a couple of positions. Like, you see what happens when Denzel go out of the game. You see what happens when Myles Garrett go out. There's a couple of people propping this thing up, right, with some foundation and some stilts. You don't want that foundation to go out, because then you go from, it was a tough season, to you talk about winning something quickly, especially if you got younger rookie quarterbacks that you looking to probably play later.
We've talked about the Browns' defense being pretty good so far, right?
Yeah.
Let's look at stat number 3 here, Steve, because the Browns' defense has been very good. You can see on the left, these are all of the Browns' stats of the first 2 games of the season. The only issue with this particular matchup against Green Bay is, as good as the Browns' defense has been through the first 2 weeks, Green Bay's been slightly better against maybe not better opponents, but they've played Washington and Detroit.
Oh, them is better opponents
Than Cincinnati and
yeah.
Baltimore.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty even, but you can see the numbers. These have been 2 of the best defenses in football. The Browns have 26 pressures through 2 games. The Packers have a league-leading 41. Packers have 8 sacks. Browns have 6. Pressure rate, almost identical, 42.6 for the Browns, 43.6 for the Packers. The defensive EPA per game, which is the biggest differentiation between the two, just a positive 1.01, which is still very good for Cleveland. A 6.21 positive EPA per game
insane.
for the Packers, which is number 2 in football and just an absurd number. It will not stay that high all season. Their success rate, 56.9 for the Browns, 58.5 for the Packers. And you can take the second graphic of this stat, Steve. This is the success rate for the Packers defense. They rank number 1 in defensive explosive play rate against. They've given up 1 play through 2 games of over 20 yards. There's 1 pass in garbage time through 2 games of over 20 yards, playing the Commanders and the Lions. The Browns' defense has been relatively good. They rank in the top 10 in defensive explosive play rate against. The Browns' offense has not been good. They rank 27th in explosive run rate, which is any run over 15 yards. The only run over 15 yards they have was that Quinshawn Judkins garbage time run against the Ravens, and they rank 22nd in explosive pass rate. So you're looking at 2 good defenses, and you're looking at an elite defense in terms of stopping explosive plays, and one of the league's worst offenses in terms of generating explosive offensive plays. So that matchup certainly does not favor the Browns on Sunday.
Yeah, we're going to bring this up, too. We got to bring it up. How many points the Browns get?
They have 33 in 2 games.
So let's go back and look at that last game. They had 1 run in garbage time, right? You just said that. We're going to count it, though, because he's a rookie.
No, it counts.
It counts, right? Dylan Gabriel came in.
Threw a
touchdown. That was 7 plus the rushing stats. And then you go back and look at it. The Joe Flacco touchdown to Tillman was a pick.
Yep.
That was that wasn't a tip. That was, oh my goodness, the ball is in my chest. It popped back where Cedric Tillman was talking to somebody in the stands, turned around and the ball was in his lap, touchdown. They literally had 3 points. They literally had 3 points if you take away those things. And it's like, I get it, they count it or whatever, but what I'm saying is, when you playing a team like this, you ain't getting that off.
Especially if Flacco plays like he did last week. Steve, let's get to stat 4 because this kind of flies into Flacco's performance against the Ravens. The eye test said it wasn't good. The advanced numbers, G said it was even worse than we could imagine. He had a minus 26.2 EPA versus Baltimore. That's the second worst EPA for a Browns quarterback since they moved back to Cleveland in 1999. Only Deshaun Kaiser in Week 11 of 2017 was worse. He had a minus 30.8 EPA. I mentioned the Jordan Love air yards per attempt earlier in the show, 13.3. That leads the NFL. Flacco's down in the bottom 5th of the NFL at just over 7 yards per air attempt. Let's take the second one here, Steve. This one came from Jason. We talked about Flacco being a statue on the move, outside of the pocket. Maybe part of the reason Kevin Stefanski isn't drawing up some of these plays, G, was he was frankly pitiful against the Ravens in that regard. 0 for 5 with an interception, and his minus 1.06 EPA per dropback was the worst of his career outside of the pocket. Against Baltimore, Joe Flacco simply was not good enough to put the Browns in a situation to win, and that is not a good precursor to going up against one of the NFL's best defenses. Jason, you sent me this stat, so I'll let you go first on this.
Do I have to?
There's not much to say.
I mean, yeah, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier about this is why you can't run bootleg and move the pocket. I mean, that's why. It was bad. I don't think he's going to be that bad every week.
He can't be that bad.
We get hung up on, like, if it was that terrible last week, it's going to be that terrible again. Yeah. If it was that great last week, it's going to be that great again. It's so week to week in the NFL. You know, I was looking at the stat earlier about Green Bay's only giving up 1 play of 20-plus yards to 2 really good offenses. And I'm like, well, this is the NFL, and just when you think you got it figured out, you don't. So now Fannin and David Njoku are probably going to be running free across the field, and the Browns are going to have like 3 or 4 explosive plays. And we're going to be like, well, how does that make any sense? Well, because it's the NFL, and nothing ever makes sense in the NFL. But, I mean, it is what it is. Joe, that was, I think, the 7th worst start of his career, and he's played 18 years. So Sunday was bad. It was really, really bad. I don't think it'll be that bad again, but I don't think it's going to be good.
If it's that bad again, I always tell people like this, man. Hey, it's a certain thing. If I go home and tell my parents, I'm like, yeah, me and Rosie, we having some problems. They ain't gonna look at Rosie. They ain't gonna look at me. They gonna say, I mean, we've been through this one before, son. So yes, past does weigh in on the future. Like, you know, it's one of those things. Like, and I don't know anybody that gets older and gets more consistent. Like, I seen Tom Brady do it once, right? But
he's the anomaly.
He's the anomaly. For me, and this is the thought process that I got. You know, if you got Joe Flacco and he play again this bad,
I got to move. I'm sorry. I got to move on. Look, if you play that bad, I can't move the pocket with you. And we keep saying that he gives us the best chance to win. How do we know that? I get it. Like, I mean, we get the fact that he's seen every defense and he's seen he got the answers to the test. But it's a difference between knowing the answers and putting them down correctly when the test come. Yeah. When the quiz is here in class, I know all the answers. But it's hard to get to them answers, especially when you're deficient in terms of your skill set and moving around and being able to execute. For me, if you can't run the ball and we can't get it there and we got to check it down, then to me, Joe Flacco don't give me the best chance to win games. I would rather go with a younger guy and manufacture and maneuver the game plan to make it easy for him, right? We might not be able to do all the up top things and give him 6
calls at the line of scrimmage and have them protect everybody. But then again, that's what you got everybody else for. You bring all of them dudes in his office and say, listen, we got to go. We're going to go with these young dudes. Here's what I need, Ethan Pochich. I need you to make the line calls. That's what we're going to do. Hey, DeJuan, hey, we're going to simplify everything. Here's what we're going to do in this play, right? Jerry Jeudy, hey, come in here. Hey, listen, we not only need you to make the regular catches, you got to make tough catches. Because guess what?
You what we got.
This is what we got. So I believe, and Sean King said something, if you communicate as a leader and set the expectation level that I need this from everybody, maybe we can't put the whole game plan on Dillon Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders at this point. But guess what? If I keep giving them experience, I can give them a little more next week and a little more next week and get them to a point where they can be competent. But rolling Joe out here, and he's still putting up that performance, I'm going to give him another week. But after this week, if he ain't popping, you might as well go get some of the young dudes.
You know, I was just thinking about this when you were talking about Dillon. He looked fine. He played well Sunday, garbage time, right?
He didn't melt.
And it didn't count, right? Like we said, it doesn't really count. You called the score 41-10 Monday because that one didn't count.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if we get to Shedeur and he plays in garbage time and he balls out, it doesn't count, right?
No. Let me get this.
I'm just wondering.
No. Here's
If it don't count with Dillon.
No. Here's what I'm saying. It don't count in the totality of that specific game. Oh, the Ravens, we got 4. But in terms of Dillon Gabriel and whether or not that success counts for him, sure it counts for him. Like that's part of his maturation.
Look at the way he slipped out of the pocket. Look at the way he slipped out. You move faster than Joe Flacco.
That counts for him, right? That counts. That's like, oh, listen, it's my first NFL game. I'm playing the Ravens. I'm on the road. I'm going to go down and take that score. But if you ask me, if you Kevin Stefanski, you can't go in front of people. I actually said it was 41-3 because I took Joe's off the board too.
Yeah, true.
I saw. I was like, that don't count, bro. That was going to be nasty work.
True.
So I took them off the board. But for me, I'm an advocate. Here's the thing. Here's the great thing Zach Jackson said. Now, Zach says he don't believe Dillon Gabriel can be a quarterback, right? He don't believe he can be a quarterback in this league. Here's what I'm saying. I might not necessarily believe in Dillon Gabriel's long-term chance to be a franchise quarterback, but you know what I am willing to do that a lot of people aren't? I'm willing to see.
To give him a shot.
I'm willing to get the opportunity because if he comes out and plays well, I got to keep it a buck and say he played well. But here's what I'm not against. Here's what I'm 100% not against. I'm not for sitting here saying he's not ready. Nah, I want to see if he's ready. Give him the opportunity to prove himself. That's all I want. I want to show prove. I believe games count. I believe reps count. I believe all that counts. So in terms of it, and I'll keep it 100%. That's why I went to the drops on Jerry Jeudy them, because I know what we will do. If Jerry Jeudy drops them same footballs and they turn into interceptions for Shedeur Sanders or Dillon Gabriel, guess what we're going to say? We're going to say, bro, you got to catch that and hit you in your hand. So I got to keep.
Especially when it's a rookie.
Especially when it's rookie. Now I got to keep the same energy and say, hey, you got to catch that for Joe, Jerry, because people are not going to hear that when these rookies is playing.
And we did put that on Jerry.
We put it on him. We put it on him.
I don't think Dillon's a long-term franchise starting quarterback in the league either. I was just having fun with you.
But I like that.
It was good.
I like that. He almost, you see that? The senator from Avon is really, I like that.
We got one last stat. The Browns did a really good job containing Derrick Henry last week, right? I think it was, 10 rushes, 23 yards, whatever it was. They held him in check. I saw this on Twitter this morning. I actually added a late addition to the 5-pack of stats you need to know. But Josh Jacobs is quietly on one of the best touchdown streaks in football. Have you guys heard about this? He scored a touchdown in 11 straight games.
No.
11 straight games.
That's why I drafted him
in those 11 games, he has 14 touchdowns. The NFL record is 17 straight games. That was Christian McCaffrey in 2013. If he scores against the Browns on Sunday, it'll be his 12th straight game with a touchdown. Since 1990, only 5 running backs have ever done that. You ready for this list? You can see the initials on the screen. McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, LaDainian Tomlinson, Emmitt Smith, and Arian Foster. Josh Jacobs would be just the 6th running back since 1990 to score a touchdown in 12 straight games.
That's
he can
crazy.
score against the Browns on Sunday. So Cleveland, don't let him join that list. Keep him out of the end zone. And those are your 5 stats that you need to know. And do you know we don't have a read before we talk Cavs for a sec, right?
Nope, go for it. You got about 6 minutes.
Perfect, because we got 11 super chats. Jason, I'm not sure if you saw this, but Terry Pluto of Cleveland.com put out a column of what his projected starting five for the Cavs would be if nothing else changed from now to the beginning of the season, assuming Darius and Max Strus aren't healthy. His projected five was Donovan at the 1, Merrill at the 2, DeAndre Hunter at the 3, Mobley at the 4, and Jared Allen at the 5. So Donovan shifts from the 2 to the 1. Merrill slides into the 2 spot. He's essentially taking Darius Garland's spot, and you replace Max Strus with DeAndre Hunter. If things are to hold and no one else gets hurt, and those are the available guys, healthy to Kenny Atkinson for the first game, is that the starting lineup you would want to see on the court for their very first game?
Yeah, I think I agree with him. I don't know what your other option is at this point. Dean, I guess Dean at the 3. I think Sam's going to be the 2, right?
Unless you want to start Lonzo and go crazy.
No, you're trying to protect him, especially early in the year. There's no need.
I agree. I'm just giving devil's advocate.
No, I that makes the most sense to me, but I wanted to see Hunter in the lineup last year. I thought that made the most sense was to start him last year. So it gives you some decent. I mean, you're still going to be small in the backcourt, obviously.
You're supersized in the front court.
Yeah, you've got good size in the on the wing with Hunter and obviously in the front court. Yeah, I have no issue with that. I think that's the best way to go, and you're going to have the ability to mix and match and try different lineup combos while these guys are out, see what works and see what you like and see what you don't.
G?
Yeah, this is what we've been waiting on. I've been waiting on this specific lineup right here. DeAndre Hunter has now been inserted into the starting lineup as we've asked for so many years. We get do-rag Evan Mobley. Do-rag Mobley, I'm telling you, listen, we got do-rag Mobley, and then we got Sam Merrill coming off Money Merrill. He got that contract. He ready. Listen, I'm going to tell you this, bro. They got 60 in them again. I'll tell you that right now. Ain't nobody going to be able to see them during regular season. And I've made a decree, seeing that the Cleveland Browns could be a 1-and-something team. I have now talked to Adam the Bull and now converted and said, under no circumstances will we poo-poo the regular season. I need something to watch. We need something to look at. We got a Christmas Day game. They paid us off. I got my games on TV, national joints. And I got Donovan Mitchell and Do-Rag Mobley and Sam Merrill shooting threes. I'm going to take this little 60, and I'm going to like this 60. Now, when we get to May and June, that's cool. Whatever happens then, I might have to flip the switch. But I am going to enjoy my winter. I'm going to enjoy my little fall and winter and spring because I ain't got nothing else to look forward to. So, no, I'm not about to do that. They count.
I think this is the starting lineup that we are going to see. We can go back and forth on whether it's the best. I think in theory, Lonzo makes the most sense in that Sam Merrill spot. But to Jason's point,
he got knees like me.
You're not going to put him in there as a starter, especially when you're trying to ramp him up for later in the season. To me, if this is the starting lineup, though, Sam Merrill's going to have to earn every penny of that $9 million salary he has because he will be guarding the best perimeter ball handler on the other team night in and night out. And as much of an improvement as Sam made last year on the defensive end of the court, I'm not sure I'm ready to call him like a lockdown defender yet.
No. He was feisty, though.
He's not as bad as you would think when you see him walk out into the gym. But he's also not the quickest. He's not the biggest. He's not the strongest. He's more of a positional defender. He's a smart defender. But he's going to have to be guarding the Tyrese Maxeys of the world. And he's going to draw the Trae Young assignments and the other top-tier ball handlers. Because DeAndre Hunter, you need him to guard the wing. Who's guarding the guards? You're not going to have Donovan, who's now taking on extra responsibility as the point guard, also chasing around the other team's best offensive creator from the backcourt as well. It's going to put a lot of pressure on Sam Merrill early. And I am very curious and excited to see how he responds to that. And just one other note, I was talking to someone in the Cavs building the other day. The entire team is back now. They're getting ready for camp. They leave on the 30th. Donovan Mitchell, from all accounts, looks incredible.
He's MVP. He's going to win MVP this year.
Incredible.
He's going to win MVP this year. Jason?
No.
Yeah.
He has to average a triple-double to do that.
I don't think he's winning MVP this year.
Why?
Because Jokic is going to average 29, 12, and 11.
This is going to sound stupid. I can't say it like that, but I was going to say, like, it's bad if he does, but it's never bad if you win MVP.
Right.
So I can't say that.
If he wins MVP, it means Evan Mobley isn't taking the step they need to take.
That's a good way to put it. They want to play through Evan.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So
If he averages, let me tell you this: all it take is the narrative to build. Because the MVP is not really about who the best player is.
But Donovan has never really been in that conversation.
Yeah.
Now, you done moved people. Now you done moved Halliburton's gone. You done moved Tatum up out of the mix.
But those aren't the guys that he's trying to beat.
But you got SGA, you got Luka, you got Jokic is always in that mix. Ant is in that mix. Giannis is in that mix. But here's the thing: if they put up great numbers, and when I mean put up great numbers, when I mean, hey, the Cavs were great last year, but we're gonna be great this year, and people start to see night in, night out, like, oh, this guy is really good, and they start mentioning the Cavs as the prohibited number one favorite coming out of the East, even though they kind of, fell and had a boo-boo last year. But I'm telling you, he's charismatic enough. If they just the same way they lobbied and got Evan Mobley the Defensive Player of the Year. You see, it's your brethren. You're the one that got to spearhead the event, Spicy Jason Lloyd.
I don't have a vote no more.
Hey, listen,
I used to. I don't anymore.
But guess what? You know everybody with the votes.
I do.
There you go.
I do.
And if we sit up here, hey, right now he's playing at an MVP level. Listen, that's how it be happening. After the offseason, and then you throw in, he didn't have Darius Garland, his running mate. That didn't have that. He stuck around. He has loyalty. We got to start talking about him, the second greatest Cavalier of all time. I'm telling you, McNuggets.
I'm just telling you that the text I got when I asked about Donovan was, dude, ... incredible in all caps. So, Donovan MVP season loading, we will see. He also has some really nice new shoes out, so check him out.
Shout out to him.
And we got a dozen super chats, you say?
Give or take, yeah.
Let's get to them.
First two go together. Bill Rodewald said, which is more likely, Guards pass Tigers or take the wild card? And in response, Q says, what is more likely, Guards take the division or Flacco gets a win before a rookie starts?
Well, they're 1.5 out of the wild card, so that's more likely.
That's more likely.
Yeah. I mean,
Whether it's a win.
Just by the odds. But I do think the division's very much in play.
Yeah, them wins is.
Well, there's only 10 games left. This is his chance to get a win before the baseball season ends. So it's either, do you think they win this week, or do you think the Guards make the wild card?
Well, next Sunday is the last day of the regular season.
Oh, it's next Sunday?
Yeah.
Okay, so he has 2 games.
He's got this week,
and then at Detroit.
The season ends.
Oh, he's not getting no
Next
wins. He's
Sunday.
not getting no wins, bro. Come on now.
Oh, yeah, no, it's definitely Guardians on that.
come on.
I would say Guardians.
What was the question? I don't remember.
Does Flacco get his
Guards
first
take
win?
division or Flacco gets a win before the rookie start?
I mean, you're saying
Before the rookie start.
I would say Flacco then. They're going to win one of these games.
Yes, I definitely read that wrong the first time. My bad. Bernie Madoff says, since it is all but official that the Browns are moving to Brook Park in 2029, do you think they will host a playoff game on the lakefront by then?
No. That'd be amazing if that stadium stands for 30 years and never once hosted a playoff game.
You mean, he said host a playoff game.
What do you mean amazing? It's going to happen. They're not going to host anything.
Oh, yeah, no.
No, I'm saying
no.
It would be amazing in a bad way. Like that's unbelievable.
It's hard to believe.
Yeah, it's
it was there
unbelievable
for 30 years
that
and
it
never
could
ran
stand
into
for
one.
30 years and not host one playoff game.
But it has hosted plenty of MGK concerts. All right,
There you
Triz says, Jason, are the Browns still taking a QB? And if so, who?
Well, I'm not the GM, so I don't know. I still think they're taking a quarterback in the first round. I know, like, everyone's like, well, who? Which one? They're not playing well. Guys, it's September. Like, is there one that's playing off the charts right now? No. But it's September. Yeah, they're taking a quarterback in the first round.
Our guy, Dragon the Abandoner, says, why do we act like Flacco has ever been a cerebral quarterback? Then Triz says, G hit the 2026 dance for Jason. If you know, you know.
Hey, man, the 20, you got to say it. Our quarterbacks in 26. Our quarterbacks in 26. Say yeah.
All right, but wait a minute.
When UCSS gets canceled next year at some point, G will now be on Dancing with the Stars. Moving on. Miss Bell says QBs inspire. Flacco just wants to play.
Say again.
Miss Bell says that QBs inspire and Flacco just wants to play.
Okay.
Dragon the Abandoner says put the IBM processor in. He can at least put a bootleg in there.
Yeah.
Aggie Fury 101 says DeWand was forced to left tackle because nobody went out and got one. Unfair to him. Old man Joe doesn't have the wheels to put in the rooks to get good fresh.
Unfair to
looks for
him.
the
They gave him
defense.
the opportunity of a lifetime to become a franchise left tackle.
Left tackles get paid a lot more money than right tackles.
What you mean? Yeah, I'm gonna take that.
Yeah,
That's
that's not right.
No, I'm gonna take that opportunity.
Triz says, y'all act like the Browns have no speedsters at wide receiver. Forgive me. Is Isaiah Bond still on the team? Maybe Kevin should get him involved.
I mean, Isaiah Bond has played 2 NFL games.
I mean, he just got a playbook like last week.
Yeah. I think he's played 24 snaps in 2 weeks. Like, he's still trying to learn how to fit into what the Browns want him to do.
Yeah.
All right, Dragon the Abandoner says, thoughts on Ryan Clark saying on First Take that Ashton Genty is Trent Richardson, and if the Browns did get the best running back in the draft.
I didn't see Ryan Clark say that, but
I mean,
I've always been high on Judkins. I liked him better than Henderson coming out of the draft.
We'll see. I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Is
I mean,
it early?
it's 2 games for Genty. Their offensive line hasn't been any good. He's going to get a ton of carries. But Judkins has looked as good as anyone did in their first game.
All right, we'll fly through these last ones. CEZ says, I expect nothing less from Jason, but come on, guys. That was a 1 negative show. Where's the Kool-Aid Mafia at? Let's go Browns.
I mean, listen,
We're
bro.
trying.
I mean, the
They're
Kool-Aid.
3-17 in their last 20 games. Like, what do you want us to be? We did a whole blueprint on how they're going to pull the upset.
I got a couple more. Let's hold on.
All right.
Kirk Davis says, no disrespect, but Sam equals a Yorkshire Terrier.
Okay.
Q says, Spida, Durag Mobley, Braided Up Allen, Money Merrill, and Sniper Hunter. Let's go. Miss Bell says, they seem to be playing for a check and not the love of the game. That's why I know Sanders will do well when he's given the opportunity. And then the very last one is a question. Which of these quarterbacks had the highest single game completion percentage? Frank Ryan, Bernie Kosar, Tim Couch, or Vinny Testaverde? Testaverde.
I'm going to go with my guy, Bernie Kosar.
I have no idea what the answer is. That's
Well,
just what the Super Chat says.
Okay.
You wanted to address draft the quarterback in 26 draft in the next 40 seconds.
Well, I mean, you can't do it in 40 seconds, but what were they supposed to do?
Well, here's what I would do.
You want to take Jackson Dart at 2?
Be competent.
No, I would have no problem if they took a quarterback if they played Dylan Gabriel and Shador Sanders all year and didn't feel like they had a quarterback. I would say, okay, they tried it, didn't work. Let's keep it pushing.
They'll get to the rookies sooner than later.
So that's my only qualm. Look, we're not waiting till week 8 on Joe. Y'all better stop that. 8 games is a lot of games, Mikey. That's a lot of games.
I'm with you. I would have made the change, but we got to hit a break. We are back in 3 minutes on WKYC and the WKYC Plus app with 30 minutes of never-before-seen content previewing the Browns and the Packers. Peace.
Dude.